fraud. But it's not fraud if you agree to it, right? If you agree to it, then there's not fraud, right? So when you realize that it's all fraud and you go, hey, I'm no longer willing to partake in the fraud, then you start becoming free, right? You're free of all this nonsense. You're free of all this convoluted bullshit. Even like, I had a friend, he traipsed through several countries, and he says, I didn't speak a word of their languages. He says, I learned to speak hi, where's your washroom? He says, other than that, he says, he was so at peace. And he says, you get back and it's all a spelling. That's why the Bible said, come out of Babylon, my people, unless ye want to partake in her sins. And then they all run around signing things. You take the G out and you have sin. You take the G out of signature and you have sin at you're at sin, right? You were never supposed to rock up and sign to be at sin. It's like applying for a birth certificate to say that you are now this person. Why would you say that you're this person? Aren't you who you already were? So why do you need a person, which is short of an A, which is for persona, and everybody's running around with a facade, and then the cop will come along and say, you got some ID? Give me some ID to prove to me that you're Mark Simser. So I'm going to give you a piece of paper, and this is going to prove who I am. Do you see the fraud here, people? And then, back to like in the States, right? With the Wade versus whatever and all this shit, right? Roe or whatever it's all called, right? Basically, now they want to make illegal abortion. And you know why? Because every time there's a child born, the government of the United States and all these other Canada and all these other world governments, they draw up a bond. Okay, they draw up the fact that a child was born and they borrow money off this child's head in order to fund their criminal enterprise, which is a government. You follow me, people? So that's why they made it illegal, and they started saying, if you have an abortion, right? Like, what if the woman was raped? What if it's a child that's raped and she's pregnant at 10 years old, right? Should and her body can't even facilitate having a baby. Wouldn't it be deemed appropriate by somebody who's an actual doctor or not an independent fact checker to have an abortion? Now, I'm not pro-abortion. I'm not anti-abortion. I'm none of this stuff. I'm not God. Who the hell am I to say what's right and what's wrong? But with common sense would dictate this, and people are going, well, this is my body. And, well, is it your body if the government can say to you, listen, if you have a child and for whatever reason, maybe you had a good reason to have this baby aborted, maybe the child was poisoning your system and you were going to die too, and so was the child, wouldn't it make sense to have an abortion? But now if you have an abortion, they can throw your ass in jail. Does this sound like freedom to you, people? I hate to burst your bubble, but anybody watching this video, if common sense kicks in and you get away from cognitive dissonance, you're going to go, and that's why the government wants to not allow you to have abortions, because they borrow money off every child that's born to run their fictitious scam. And anybody who runs this fictitious scam, they're in on the scam. Just like people, oh, well, there's good officers on the force and stuff. Do I hate cops? God, no. If I started hating cops, then I'd become a cop hater. And then I might as well join the cops and become like the cops. I'm not saying all cops are evil and stuff, but if there were good cops out there, these people would be arrested and stopped right in their tracks, but instead they work for money. They don't work for love. They're not going out helping their neighbors for love. They're going out helping their neighbors for personal gain, which is greed, and I'm sure we can all agree on that, right? It's agreed upon all that, right? So they're not doing this out of love. They're doing it for personal gain. And again, personal, take the L out and you're back to persona, right? And it's a facade and it's a pretense and it's all deceit and it's all lies and it's all bullshit. And we don't need this anymore. Just like these independent fact checkers. They're not doctors, they're not lawyers, they're not this, they're not that. And then meanwhile, they're running around going, well, we fact check this. Get a fact checker to prove that people are standing upside down. Like they'll say, oh, we can send rovers out to Mars and Uranus and up your ass and all this shit. But yet they can't show anybody living upside down on the globe. Why? Because it's a lie. Just like they went to the moon. It's a friggin' lie, people. I hate to burst your bubble. Even Russian cosmonauts, there used to be videos up where they laughed and they said, sorry people, but you're not making it to the moon, and there is a firmament, and you're not going any higher than that. Even in the evening, if you have a severe thunderstorm and lightning storm, you can see the lightning riding the dome. You can literally see this, people, and if there was a drop off, why would they call it sea level? Well, I'll tell you, people, they call it sea level because the sea is level. It's not curved. There's no sea curve to this. People are not upside down. So this is just a video on the lies and the deceit, and just like, oh, you need a lawyer for this, and oh, you need politicians. Without politicians, the world would go crazy. Well, politicians are making people go crazy. You look around, we have homelessness, poverty, war, death. And does this sound like a healthy society? And these people are all in charge of this? I'm sorry, but anybody who claims that they are in charge of this, they're a fraud and they're a demonstrator. They're demons and they're traitors. They're demonstrators. Okay, people? God never asked for this, and these people, they'll run around and go, well, you had to feed your family and now you're a criminal because you stole the loaf of bread. So we're going to chastise you, arrest you, throw you into prison. And then when you're released, you can't even get a good job because you are a bread stealer. You stole a loaf of bread. But meanwhile, all these sociopaths and psychopaths like Trump and Trudeau and all these other people, they run around and steal and they get promotions and they get raises. And then, too, we live in a world where people say, well, if we don't vote for this guy, we have to vote for that guy, which is the lesser of two evils. So now you're going to vote for evil? Does this make an ounce of sense to you, people? Always ask yourself the question, does this make any sense? And let me tell you, look at the word sense, and you have S-E-N-S-E. Sense is in common sense. And then you also have common sense, which is C-E-N-T-S, and they make sense off you, C-E-N-T-S, off the fact that you don't know and you have a misunderstanding of things. And then everybody runs around going, well, I understand. You stand under? Why would you stand under? You should stand under nothing except for God. Okay, people? The Creator, the universal waitress. That's what I stand under. Now, do I know what life has in store for me? No, but the Creator's will be done through me. And that is thine will, not mankind's will. Mankind's will deceive you. We'll pretend we're your best friends. We'll feed you cocaine and we're all at a party and you'll think, oh, he's my best friend. He's getting me high and I'm having the time of my life. I'm sorry, people. That's not having the time of your life. That's called being miserable, not enjoying yourself. And at the end of the day, you're hooked on all this garbage. And now you can't see the forest for the trees, and you probably think you're standing upside down when you're upside right, And so the whole thing is just a friggin' sheer utter joke. And all it takes is common sense. And back to sense, C-E-N-T, you live in a century, cent you are. Why would you live in a century, right? Because you're just money to these people, right? And this is called debt slavery. And if you look around, you take the C out of credit and you have Reddit, right? So everybody is in the red and they're dealing with kings, banned kings who have banned you from owning all the money. And then they would call you peasants. Come on, people, and you take the pez out and you're an ant, A-N-T, peasant. There, you're an ant. You're like a defendant. You want to be an ant in this century, right? You see where I'm going, this people? And they run around and they instill and deliver all these messages to people. And look at the word, mess and age. We live in the age of the mess, and all these people are demonstrators. They're demonstrators, right? But they'll call themselves politicians and republicans, because most lies will happen in a pub. Then they'll call themselves demo-C-rats, right? Demo is a term short for demolish, or a demonstration, or a demonstrator. Do these sound like good words? And people are all encapsulated by the message. They'll tell you you're upside down, but yet this magical thing called gravity has you upside right. In my world, it's called mass, and this piece of paper weighs more than the air that it just dropped to the ground. So give up all this shit. Even gravity, they can explain it, but they can't quite explain it. Anything that simply cannot be explained, I'll tell you why it's bullshit. It's a message, and they're delivering a mess to you, the age of the mess, and that's why you can't see clearly, right? And your judgment has been clouded, right? So I'm not judging people like Trump, and I have no ill will towards Trump and Justine Trudeau and all these people. But like even Trudeau, he had paid hush money for molesting a one of his school students. But my, how this magically gets whisked away, and then you start looking at all their friends, and they're all pedophiles who hang out with Epstein, and most of these people have already been charged with pedophile charges, but they're all whisked under the table. Even like you have like this guy like DeSantis in the States. He's running around. Today he's a Jew. Tomorrow he's a Catholic. Today he's a priest. Come on, man. His parents died in World War II for these people are politicians, lies, and they're delivering messages. And you were supposed to stay out of the age of the mess age, and come out of Babylon. Babble, babble, babble. You look on TV, there's also a program to teach you different languages, and what they call it, Babble. People, I can't make this shit up. So anyhow, I'm sending everybody peace and love. Don't run around hating anybody. If you don't like Walmart, or you don't like Trudeau, or you don't like Trump or anybody, stop shopping there. Stop listening to what they have to say. Go hug your children, hug your spouses, go grow gardens. Start becoming undependent without being dependent on these people. You're back to these fact checkers. They work for money, and then they'll say, "Oh, well, we checked this." Like I'll post a picture of the world round, and it'll say people who believe this, people standing on top, also believe that people are standing upside down, boats and planes are upside down, and then they'll explain by the curve and the ocean, the world's spinning, that the plane's actually always flying upright. And people, I've heard it all, but every time I post that picture, not one person has the balls or the audacity, not even these fact checkers, to say, "Oh, that's wrong," because they know goddamn well they're just be unveiling their own stupidity and making themselves look like complete idiots. And again, back to a world. We live in a world where everybody's right, and they run around pretending that they're God. I'm awesome. Look at me. I have a persona. I'm a person. I'm the greatest, right? And it's a persona. And what is a persona? It's fraud, right? You're never supposed to be a person. You are already a living being. So why then would you walk up and claim that you need a birth certificate to claim that you are that person when you were never that person? It's a facade. It's the face of many and the lies of many. Okay, people. It's called deceit. And we live in such a world of deceit that, again, they'll have you thinking you're upside down, but you magically stand upright. Planes fly upside down, but they magically spin upright and fly upright, even though they're upside down. I have heard some shit in my time. Wake up, smell the coffee beans, for God's sakes. You don't have to hate these people. Like, for example, like all these world bankers, what would they do if the whole world just came together tomorrow and said, "We're not paying your fictitious debt"? There wouldn't be an ounce of anything they could do. What are they going to do? Even nukes, they talk about nuclear warfare, and they'll go, "Oh, well, if somebody presses the nuke, you know why a nuke has never been fired in this world yet?" And I'll tell you, because they don't exist. Do they have atomic bombs? Yes. Even Einstein, people glorify Einstein with his theory of relativity, and even that guy said it's just a theory, but people run around like it's written in stone, and the theory of relativity is awesome. And who helped to invent that bomb? That was Einstein, people. I hate to say it, and that tells me that he was probably a Nazi. Okay? He pretended that he wasn't a Nazi, because if these Nazis label themselves as Nazis, right? But if the shoe fits and these people want to label themselves as Ashkenazis, then they are thus telling you that they are a Nazi, and they will kill you. And these Nazis call you goyim, which is slave. Okay, people. So anyhow, I'm not going to get too deep on this. This is just simple information that I wanted to espouse. I hope this helps everybody. And once again, if you don't like Walmart, or you don't like any of these players or any of these politicians, don't vote for them. In fact, you could go to the voters poll and put right on the back of it, "This is a vote of non-confidence." And power corrupts people, and you take the P out of power and you have or you take the P and the R out, and you have O. So these people will owe, okay? They will owe to the powers, the owers that be. and it's all fraud, and they are demonstrators, they are demonstrators, and they are trading for the demons. Okay, people. So anyhow, don't hate anybody. Don't because if you hate something, you will become what you hate. Okay, people. So I'm gonna leave it at this. I send everybody much peace, love, respect. Always will, always do. And until then, keep your heads up. Namaste. Cheers. Bye. Keep your heads up and your sticks on the ice. Okay. Cheers. Bye. Peace.